TV, and I am your New York and Atlanta host, Miss Goldie. That's right, Miss Goldie to you. Today we have a special exclusive for you. You know, Miss Goldie always brings the exclusive interviews and stories and trending topics that you will never see anywhere else. You know, Miss Goldie did it. So today we have Mr. Mike Hughes from Cult Jam, Lisa, and the Cult Jam. We're going to be digging into that and find out what's going on with them and what's happened in the past. And I'm very excited. Thank you for joining us on Worldwide Entertainment TV, Mike.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Great to see you. Great to meet you.
Yes, it's my pleasure as well. I mean, your music has shaped so many things in the culture of life and me growing up and just seeing a band, the way you guys rocked out, it was very exciting and inspirational, I would say, to my generation. I'm not going to say what generation I come from, you know. I'm only like 20 something, so you know. Cult Jam helped shape the sound of an entire era. When you hear the words freestyle and 80s, 90s Latin influence pop, what do you feel was the band's biggest contribution to music history?
Wow. I always have to look at the very beginning. I wonder if I take you home, and how, you know, uh, you know, how it kind of merged R&B with the Latin freestyle. This is the beginning of the Latin freestyle, and it was part of that, but it was still very R&B, and then pop audiences found it and loved it too. So I find that that's the beginning, the very beginning of us, and the beginning of molding all these genres together.
Yes. So you all created a sound that still rings off at parties today. When did you first realize, okay, people ain't just listening, they're addicted to this sound?
Oh yeah. Wow. You know, um, it's almost like we came across it like everyone else. We released a song, and so you have a song out. So what? Your life continues because you don't know if anything's gonna come about it. And to be at your work, at your job, and to actually hear it come on the radio, you know, and 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 you get excited because you know it's you. But
Yeah,
beyond that, you're feeling that music, that vibe, it's like, wow, it's banging, and people are talking about it right away. And as soon as you go to the clubs, it's a hot track in the clubs, they are jumping to it. And you're like,
yeah,
wow, this is, you know, we don't just have a record out, we have a banger out. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And just to go everywhere, and it's like the top requests. And of course, me and Alex, we would go around the record stores, and it'd be sold out in the stores. Back in the days, they had record stores. For those who are
Right.
younger, we would go around to
It
the
was
record
no
store.
streaming. You had to organically get your. That's why what you guys did was so amazing because it wasn't the internet, it wasn't streaming. You had to organically gain your fan base. Like you really had to make a good record. It wasn't beat into people's head. It grew and it developed. And nowadays they beat records into your head until you like them. I listen to records all the time. I say I can't stand this record. It gets on my nerves. Oh my god, I wish they stop playing it. But 3 months down the line, I'm singing it right
Right,
along.
right, sure.
Like, so it's very different now than it was in your days. You guys really had to go beat the ground.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, in New York, we had like the R&B clubs. You had places like Bentley's and Silver Shadow, and these were the clubs. These were the marquee clubs. And we pull up and go in, and they were always packed. But then to hear them play that jam, and then we play it more than once because it was so hot. They would play it again later on. It's like it was amazing, amazing, and we knew that something real was really happening. And of course, now, after that, it was about we have to represent this now, because
Yeah.
now you have a hot song. Now you actually have to make appearances and you have to perform it and you have to come. You have to bring it because the record is so hot. If you come on like a stale artist after a hot record,
You gotta match
no,
the energy of your record.
yeah, yeah. So we knew our performance, we had to bring it. So that was the biggest part of us. We're performers. Me and Alex, I grew up, with Full Force as my blueprint, and then of course growing up with artists like Cameo and Earth, and Fire, this is what I dreamt of. So having a hot record, I was like, we got to put together a show that's going to bring the song to life when people come to see us.
Amazing. What's the craziest or most unforgettable fan moment from Coach Jam's original run?
We had some crazy moments, from girls fainting when they come backstage to meet us to uh, uh, selling out Radio City Music Hall. You know,
Wow.
this is New Yorkers. We are New Yorkers. Radio City Music Hall
Is
is,
it?
that's it. And to sell it out not once, twice. It's like it really that's like an amazing moment in young people. Because we were young. In a young people career, a young career. You know, uh, it couldn't have been more amazing than that. Just blew our minds. And then of course being on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, the Radio City Musical is not really a place where they, back then, especially where our type of music was being showcased at.
Yeah.
So for you to sell that out more than once, for them to even allow you there,
Yes,
it's
right,
like, it's
right,
like you
right,
trying to go to the Grand Ole Opry and sell it out.
right,
So,
exactly.
I mean, that is definitely amazing moment.
Yeah.
So the Lisa documentary stirred up a lot of conversation, especially about the behind the scenes dynamics. What did the documentary get right and what did it leave out?
What it got right was there was a group called Lisa and Culture.
Okay. And what did they leave
And
out?
my name is Mike Hughes, and his name is Alex Manador Mosey, and her name is Lisa. That's what it got right. You know, what it got wrong was everything else. Everything else. How we met from the very beginning all the way to the ending, to performance at Radio City Music Hall, which is the ending, and how they got that wrong. You know what I mean? So all of it wrong all the way through. I mean, look, if you were gonna ask me, did I know what was going on with Lisa and her family, and did they get that right? I don't know. You know what I
Right.
mean? All I know is what she would tell us. You know what I mean? So, of course, you get into her family dynamic. I don't know about that. You know what I mean? I was there for a little bit. We met a family, we hung around with them some, but okay, I don't know about that. But everything
Right.
else that pertains to Lisa and the Cult Jam, you
Mhm.
know, was wrong. And so my whole my beef and our beef, me and Alex, our big beef about that is if you're going to tell everyone that this is our history,
Mhm.
then tell our history correctly, you
Right.
know? And if you forgot, you can always reach out on the phone and say, Mike, Alex, how did this happen? You know what I mean? I forgot about that. Or, what happened? We don't want credit in your movie. It's your movie. We don't want credit in your movie, but tell the correct history. You know what I mean? And then
Oh,
if you're gonna then if you're gonna turn around and say, well, this is a biopic for TV, so sometimes we fudge things, for TV to make it more exciting. If you're gonna
mhm.
do that, that I understand too, because I know how TV works. But
Right.
don't get on an interview and say, this is how it really happened. Get on an interview and tell it we changed things a little to make it more exciting. But don't get on an interview and tell people this is really the way it happened. Because now the movie's wrong and now you're actually lying to everyone.
And
You know?
you're supporting what the movie didn't get
Yeah,
right.
Right,
So
right.
many fans don't know the deeper story of the band's chemistry. How would you describe the reality of the group dynamic during those early years?
The thing is, Lisa was 18 when we met her. I was 20. Alex was 21. So we were all young.
Mhm.
And we're all young, nice kids. We're all good kids, you know? No drinking, no smoking.
Mhm.
Those are nice kids in the early 20s. Can you
Right.
believe kids like that? So
Right.
music was our love. Music was our thing.
Mhm.
So when we got together, this young girl was our baby sister from the beginning. You know what I
Right.
mean? She was our baby sister. No one could touch Lisa. You know what I mean? No, you had a bad word to say about Lisa, you got to come through me and Alex. You know what I
Right.
mean? She was our baby sister, and that's the way our career went. Sure,
Mhm.
we argued like everybody else. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like early 20 kids do. You know, like brothers and sisters. Nothing bad. Uh, we weren't in charge of money, so we weren't cheating each other out of money. You know how money becomes a thing, with a
Right.
lot of groups, but we weren't in charge of money, so we didn't have money problems between us. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So our relationship was great. You know what I mean? Our relationship, all the way through to the end. The ending wasn't ending like, I hate you, we're going to end. The ending was, we need to change how things were because the record label was treating us a certain way.
And
And
we're gonna
our
get to that. Wait, we're gonna get to
Right.
that
Yeah,
question.
the record label was treating us a certain way, and our contract situation with our management and full force basically is this way. So we need to change some things. So maybe we need to break and then come back and make everything better. You know what I mean? Maybe with a new label. This was our plan. So
Mhm.
that was the plan, how we ended it. Nothing bad, nothing, let's try to break and then come back and get a new contracts and a new situation so we could be better compensated for what we're doing and we can have a better, we want to write songs, we want to do stuff like that. And that's the way we ended. So from day one to the ending, we were always cool. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's why, you
So
know, as far as the movie's concerned, I'm like, wow, they really, really
the movie
misrepresented us.
documentary open up old wounds for you?
No, I mean, wow, no, it didn't open up old wounds because there were no old wounds. What it
Okay.
did was tell me that something else is controlling the narrative now.
Mhm.
Someone else is telling the story, and the
Mhm.
story is totally wrong. And I don't know why she would allow that to happen, but
Mhm.
you know, maybe maybe everyone's like, oh, for the movie it needs to be like this, for the movie it needs to be like that. And it's like, okay, maybe it's that kind of thing. You can see that kind of thing happening. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
it
maybe it
does
was that.
happen. It
Yeah.
happened, and they, like you say, you were they. She may not have been in control, and even as a group, you realize you guys weren't in control, and the people in control, they always look at the narrative in a consumer perspective, in a marketing perspective, whether it's the truth or not. So, do you feel like when these things happen, should artists, should actors stand on the truth versus let's go along with the agenda?
I I I think if you can you can say, look, I know we need to tell a story that's going to be exciting to people, but we need to have a certain amount of truth. You know what I mean? You know, because it's a history, it's a legacy history. You know what I mean? We're in museums. You know what I mean? We're in the in African Music Museum in Nashville, Tennessee. There we are. Our music, is in books. You don't change that to tell a
Right.
movie. You know what I mean? You don't change that kind of stuff. People coming up on our music and younger people don't know the history, but they know the music. You know what I mean? So there's a legacy you want to leave. So that legacy is important. Don't change that. You know, we
Right.
don't change that legacy. You can tell the story, the exciting stuff. You could make up stuff and tell that exciting stuff later. You know what I mean? But in that movie, hour and a half or whatever, you can take a small amount of time and make sure you tell some truths so that people can go, oh wow, that's how they really, wow, I want to make it like that. That's how they got together. And they were cool and they worked together and worked things out and made things happen and them
Right.
with full force really created this. You know what I mean? Those are the positive things that really happen with us. And those positive things are important. They're important to tell a story because right now, I mean, you have people that are trying to get into music, that are into music, that don't realize everyone's solo. There are no
Mhm.
bands. Why there no bands? Because people can't work together. But we
Right.
work together. That was our goal. We wanted to be a group. How many groups are there right now that came out now or in the last 5 years? Any group you can name had been around since the 90s. You know what I mean? Because people are selfish and greedy and feel like they can't work with each other. But that's what we did. You know what I mean? We formed a bond. Not just us three, but us three with full force, even. You know what I mean? And us three with our band members that we took on the road with us. We had the same
Right.
band members on the road with us for years. You know what I mean? Because we created a bond, a musical friendship. You know what I mean? And this is what young musicians should be striving for, not to be, I'm solo. Look at me on Facebook. You know what I mean? Just me. You know what I mean? I'm great. Look at me. I can sing. I'm great. You know what I mean? There's a lot to be said about people working together and grooming each other and learning from each other, and and that could have been told in that story.
So it's fair to say that you and Alex were misrepresented in the movie, and I can understand a documentary being about her, and you can't tell the story unless you include Coke Jam, and it would be no Lisa without Coke Jam. I mean, I've never heard of her. Not saying anything bad about her, but I've never heard of her prior to Coke Jam, and I've never heard of her after Coke Jam. So for you guys to be unfairly left out of the story, most of the times when these things happen is because the people don't agree or they're not going to get a check as well. But you're saying they never even came to you guys with this.
Never. We found out about it like a couple of months before it was going to come out, and Oleg Lou from Full Force called me and said, they're coming out with a movie. And I was like, get out of here. No way. He said, yeah, yeah. And I can probably get a early, viewing of it. And I said,
Uh-huh.
well, of course, I want to see this. You know what I mean? Like, and after hearing that, I thought that they would do this. They would make it about her and have like two guys in the background. You know what I mean? And like said, yeah, me and the guys, we did this, and me and the guys, we did that. That way you never have to have us say a word, but we're
Right.
represented, like there's a group. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it could all about her. And our characters never said a word. We were just there, like, oh yeah, there's the group, you know? And that would have been cool because you can tell a story, but you don't have to have guys come on and be us. But then when I saw guys characters that, oh, this is so and so playing Mike Hughes and this is so, I was like, oh no. So what are they gonna do now? Are they gonna give us lines and what are they gonna say? And how are they gonna portray us? And
Right.
in the first scenes in the movie is a guy portraying me. And I was like, wow. And in one part of me is like, hey, I'm being portrayed in a movie. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's kind of like interesting. But then how they portrayed us, you know what I mean? We were not the supportive group, the supportive older brothers that we always tried to be and cared for. We weren't, help creation of the group and our character and what we were when we went out on the road. That was all us. All three of us, we got together, you know, at rehearsals, and we formed of how we were going to be on stage and how we were going, how we were going to, how we are going to do the stand step and how we were going to look. That was all us. You know what I mean? We worked together. We were a team, a good team too at that, and as when you look back on clips of us performing on everything from Dick Clark, American Bandstand and Soul Train, and then all the way down to our live videos that you can find online from us back in the 80s. We
Right.
put on a good show, a great show, because we as a group, no one else came in and gave us choreography and fixed us and dressed us. It was us. We worked together as a team and put that together. And all our shows represented us, our teamwork. And that wasn't represented in the movie. How can you not represent that?
Because that's very important because, like you said, a lot of bands were being dressed. They were being choreographed. So for you guys to be a self-contained band that developed your style, developed your look on your own, do you feel like the business of music is what ruined the band?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, sure, sure. The business of music, definitely. And that ruins every band, after a while, the business, the business of music, because it runs stale. I
Right.
mean, record labels change owners, your team changes, people have a different view of you, you know. Um, Everything from people coming in whispering in Lisa's ear, you don't need the guys. Of course, labels do stuff like that. Labels have always done stuff like that. Since
Yeah.
Michael Jackson and Jackson 5, and you can go all down the line. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? The
every
labels are,
group they tried to get them a solo performer out of
oh, sure. It's less people to deal with. Less opinions. We could get one person. We could control that one person. Especially if it's the lead singer. And then of course um, music changes, money changes. So labels have a different way of treating you when things are great and when things are not great. So yeah, the
it. So
business of music.
how do labels treat you? What is that? I'm glad you said that. So, because artists say, oh, they throwing up, they showing out for me. My label, my label, my label, and then you see that same artist with the saddest look on their face
Yeah.
because you don't realize that you've been bought.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about the difference when a label really wants you and selling you that dream versus when they're not.
Wow. And the thing is, right? We were signed to a small label, a Personnel Records, small label. You know, uh, um, he had again, maybe a couple of other artists, and so he managed to get us on a compilation album in London, in England, and Columbia Records were part of that compilation album, breakdance album. It was going to Europe, you know what I mean? Oh, we're going to be on a breakdance album in Europe. Who cares? You know what I mean? And so
Right,
that's why the cover actually had some breakers on it, some
right.
English breakers, not even American breakers. They were English. They were English breakers. Yeah. And so when the record became a big hit and they started playing in the clubs in America, you know, Columbia Records like, okay, we're gonna really do something with this. So they brought us over and I mean, they brought us up to CBS Records and were like, "Oh, this is so and so. This is They were introducing us around. This is the group. We did this record. We're gonna blow you guys up. And this is our, this and she's in charge of this, and he's in charge of that. And they were introducing us, and they had drinks for us, and taking us to the office and taking us around. I mean, it was nonstop. Like, who are all these people? And they were gushing, gushing over us. Everyone in the office would line up when the elevator opened. Everyone in the office would come out to come and meet us, these new artists on our label with this hot record. It was
Uh,
uh, it was amazing. Like, I mean, we were like, "Whoa, who are all these people that we're meeting? And we're meeting these big heads of the label. And then even when we went to Japan, I mean, because Columbia Records got bought by a Japanese, so it's Columbia CBS, so we went to Japan and they laid out the red carpet for us in Japan and were giving us all these gifts and it was nonstop.
mhm.
When our third album came out, um, um, Straight to the Sky, and it really didn't take off like that. Just didn't have those kind of wheels.
Uh-huh.
It was so different. Like the treatment was so different. Um, even the songs that they were going to release, because we were a hot dance group. Even though All Cried Out was a big boom, you know what I mean? But still, we were a hot dance group, and all of a sudden, they want to go with ballads and they want to go with slow stuff, and then they're trying not to do a video,
Wow.
and when you release, you know, all albums before you release a song, you got a video, you know what I
You got
mean?
to drop the
And all of a
video.
sudden it's like, no, we want to shoot a video. We don't. Wow, they
We'll
don't.
give
They
you
don't
no
want to
more
spend
money.
money. They don't want to spend money on a video. You know what I mean? Like, and this is the time of MTV and BET big. So if you don't even have a video playing to help promote your song, like, wow, now you're just depending on radio. You're not going to be on TV at all, any video shows. I mean, MTV and BET were just two of the big ones, but there were hundreds of small video shows all over. This is the late 80s into the 90s. Everyone had a video
Right.
music show. You know what I mean? Every
Mhm.
town had a video music show. Everybody had a video music show. So for them not to decide that they weren't going to spend money on a video for one of our singles, that showed us things were really different.
It
Yeah.
was the decline of you. It started to
Yeah.
show the decline of
How
you
we
guys.
were being treated. How we were being treated was definitely a change up. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that, and it happens with a lot of artists, and it takes the fun out of being creative. It takes the fun out of being an artist, making music, because now as an artist, this business is ruining my talent. But at the same token, if you don't have the business, you'll never make money.
Right, 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 right. I mean, it goes hand in hand. You know, a little while ago, there was, I mean, even now, but there was a really big thing about, oh, you don't need labels. Labels are bad. Labels are bad. Labels are bad. I can't agree with that. I can agree with the way things are done and how your contract is worked out. You know what I mean? Is bad. But the machine of the label is good. You know what I mean? You need that machine so the world can know who you are.
You need that.
Otherwise, they only know who you are in your neighborhood, or they only know who you are in your city, or they only know who you are in your state. But the label, they know who you are all over the world. You know what I mean? They know who we were in Ireland, in Japan, in Brazil. You know what I mean? That's because of the label, not because of you, not because you're a great singer. They know who
Right,
you are in a foreign country. No,
right.
because the label puts your stuff over there.
They
You know what I
have to
mean?
put it in those directions they want it to be in. And in
That's
the
right.
same
Top shelf.
token, now with streaming and the internet and YouTube and TikTok, artists don't actually need the labels anymore.
That
But
that's
what
that's
you
true.
always will need is those marketing dollars,
Right,
that
right.
promotion money. So even as an artist, you need the label when you're broke. But if you're an independent artist and you have some money, you can actually do what they do. And right now, they want artists to come to them with a team already, with a
Oh
package
yeah.
already,
Oh yeah.
numbers
Oh
already.
yeah. Oh
And they
yeah.
are not investing in that anymore. They're not
Right,
shooting
right.
the
They're
videos.
not
They're
investing.
not doing
No,
any of that. They
no,
just
no.
collecting a little percentage off of whatever it is you was doing
Right, right, right. So right, if you're an artist with money,
with money.
right. How would we have how would we have made how would I wonder if I take you home and made it? Artists with money. Yeah, us kids from East Flatbush. What we gonna do? You know what I mean? Oh, we have this great record. You know what I mean? So what? So what? You know what I mean? We had no money. We
Having a
had
great record is not.
no right. We
Somebody
had
got to
no
pay
money.
for it.
Yeah, yeah. And so, there's a lot of give and take. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? There's a lot of give and take. And if you're smart enough to work out a good deal with a label or your backer, you probably don't even call it a label. It's your backer. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Who's going to back you financially? So
exactly.
like, and if you're going to compare labels like the mafia, you know what I mean? Labels have always been compared to the mafia, and at one time it was the mafia, right? So right now, you have a great song, and you go to some dude, and say, look, I have a great song. I know you have money. Would you put this money behind me? Well, that dude you know is going to say, yeah, I can put some money behind you, but I get this for every money you make. And if you don't make money, I want this back in
That's
a couple of years. And if you don't give me it back, I might break your legs. You know what I mean? So yeah,
okay. All
any
right, I
deal you
that
make.
is your posthumous record.
Right, right. Yeah, any deal you make, it's got to be a deal. You know what I mean? So, you have to be smart enough to know how to make the best deal you can, whether it's be a label or your friend down the block that just happens to have this kind of money. You know what I mean? You have to know how to make a good deal. And of course, where a lot of artists would fail is advance money. And at one time labels were giving out advanced money like candy because
Yes.
they knew you were
They were
getting
gonna get
nothing.
that.
You were getting nothing with that record sales. You know what I mean? But you were foolish enough to say, I'm from bum mess, little town, but I want to drive around in a BMW because I have a record out. So
Right.
you talk the label into giving you money for a BMW. You don't need no BMW. You got one record out. You know what I mean? But now you're driving around a BMW, so now you think you're hot. They paid you that money up front. They're collecting that money back. They are
Back.
collecting that money back. And of course, they deserve to collect that money back. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can't say, oh, they did me wrong. They gave you a BMW.
They recouped, and if I gave you $10,000 and I say I want back 30, there's nothing you could do about. You can't talk about my 30 is unfair later because you didn't say that when you took my 10.
Yeah.
You agreed to the 30 when you took my 10, even if you
Yeah.
didn't know you agreed to it. You signed the paper that said it.
Right,
And
right,
you
right.
were so excited about the 10.
Right. You
You
were so
didn't
excited.
care that you just sold your soul to me for $10,000.
Right, 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 right. And
You gonna
everything
be in
from
trouble, Mike.
from
You
from
gonna be in trouble, Mike, because Miss Goldie talked too
that
much.
and everything from advances to things like that and even videos, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need a video. You need to go to the moon to shoot a video. You know what I mean? It's for your song. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, we paid you $50,000 to fly to the moon, fly your whole crew to the moon to shoot this video. No, shoot that video in my backyard. You know what I mean? For $10,000, get the skeleton crew,
Right.
and we got a video out. You know what I
They
mean? Like,
know how to spend that budget. And they spend it actually in-house. So I never understood this. So if you go to a label, I'm not gonna say no names because I stay
mhm.
getting it. You go to a label, they're gonna record you. That's their studio that they own. That's their producer that they already pay. That's their engineer that they already pay. How did I get the bill for that? This is
That
your staff. This is your staff that you brought
happens. Yeah.
today. How did I get a bill from these people?
Yep, 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 yeah.
I never
Because
understood.
it's your song, so everything, the whole bill is on you. And you decide I'm gonna go out to dinner and I'm taking my family. It's your family, so you pay the bill. You know what I mean? And that's the way it is. And so you have to be smart about that. You have to understand that I want to accrue as less debt as I can to you, to the label. You know what I mean? Don't buy me anything. You know what
Right.
I mean? Don't buy me anything. Keep everything scared. Oh, you gotta be gonna be on the American Music Awards. We'll get you this designer, and she's gonna design this. No, no, I'm gonna go to down this
Homegirl
block
went
and
to
buy his
the
suit. I'm gonna go
my
down the block and
homegirl
buy
went
this
to
suit
got me.
because it really doesn't matter anyway. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all the visuals are weird because at one time, especially in the 80s and 90s, to dress down was dressing up. To dress down was dressing up. We went and played on the American Music Awards wearing wearing spandex warm up gear. because we
Wow.
did not want to wear suits and ties.
Wow.
We said we're gonna go against the grain. If you look back at that video, we're gonna go against the grain. We wore bike stuff, like what people wear now, out hanging out. But back in
I
the
think I
'80s,
remember that before. I think I remember that.
we wore bike stuff, bright colored, bike stuff that you would ride during the Peloton class. You know what I mean? And because our show was energetic anyway, we were doing backflips on stage. We that kind of show, and we were kids. It's like we're not going. I know it's the American Musical was, but we're not going to wear suits and look like ducks. That's not us. You know what I
What was
mean?
that like for you guys though? Coming from Flatbush and now here we are on American Music Awards.
Man, that was every TV performance. Every time we were in a crowd of with people that we know, people that we looked up to. It was thrilling and scary at the same time. It was always so scary. I think the first award thing we ever did was the New York Music Awards. Back then, they had an award show,
Right.
The New York Music Awards, and so the first people we ever met was Billy Joel and Kid Creole the Coconuts. This is all the New York acts.
Yeah.
And we performed in front of them. It was amazing. To not your peers. These people are above you. They're like, wow, they're gonna see us perform. So it was scary and exciting at the same time. And so then each time, we always felt not worthy, but we always did our best, and we were excited about it. We were excited about meeting them. We were excited about putting on a great performance. We were excited about showing them what we had, what Brooklyn had, what New York had. So yeah, it was always exciting. It is our lovely Mistina Soul.
Miss Tina, so yeah, we're gonna get to her in a minute. Hey, beautiful. So
Hi.
after the group disbanded, how did each of you transition into the next chapter of your careers and lives?
You know what? I give us kudos on our transition. Now that of course you have the internet, you can look back at bands after their breakup and you really see stories. I mean,
Right,
some deep, horrific stories of the downs of, once you leave the spotlight, once bands break up and how people spiral in their lives. And when I met Alex, he was a working musician. That's Alex. He's a working musician, and that never stopped. You know what I mean? After the band, that's it. I'm a working musician. He went out with Bobby Brown. He went out with this person. Went out. He did studio work for this person. Just in his grind. He
right,
continued in his grind. You know what I mean? And I had to pull Alex into Lisa and Co Jam. Come on, come do this. I'm making money. I'm playing for this Caribbean band on Friday, and I got this band on Saturday, and I'm playing with this jazz band. I had to drag him into, yo, we're gonna have a record out and do this. Like, are you sure? And I had to drag him into this. And at this point, I had to drag him into this now. I'm like, yo, we're gonna come out, we're gonna do Cold Jam again. We're gonna get a singer. He's like, okay, I got a girl, because Alex was the one who hooked me up with Mistina. But
right,
still, Alex is in his grind, and I have to drag him away from that, to like, look, yo, we're gonna be in front of the camera again. It's about us. It's about Cold Jam. And that's the way he is, and that's the way we are. I always kept working different musical things, different things. Period. I was always into health and fitness before the group. So I did fitness. I was training people, training celebrities. Because people knew who I was. And they want to work. They want to work out with me. Being
right.
fit, being healthy was always a part of Lisa and Culture. You know what I mean? That's why we did backflips on stage. Not because we were high, because we stayed in great shape. You know what I mean? We entered Radio City Music Hall doing jump dives over our sign. We had a big sign saying Lisa Coach. We dived over the sign with the fog on, and we jumped on trampolines at Radio City Music Hall. Not because we were high and we were daring. It's because we were in shape, and that was part of our thing. To put on a great show, you needed to look good, to feel good. Not like, oh, we get high and look at him dancing because he's high. You know what I mean? No, because we were in great shape. You know what I mean? And that
And
that
it's funny
continues
us
to us.
saying that
That's our
because
thing even now. You know what I mean? And so, that's why there are no weird, sad stories about us. You know what I mean? After the time being away from Lisa's Code Jam, and that's why when we decided to do Code Jam, it was about how we wanted to sound and how we wanted to be, not getting ourselves together. Oh, you got to get yourself together now. We were ready. I always post, I was always ready. I'm never not ready. I'm ready for life. You know what I mean? And that's the way Cold Jam always is and was. And that's the way we are now. You know what I mean? And bringing the beautiful young Mistina Soul in, you know what I mean? She brings that youth back to us. You know what I mean?
well,
That that
we're gonna get to her. We're gonna get to her too.
that
So
thing that we always had, that thing that we always had, she's another fire to our already fire.
wait,
You know what I
wait,
mean?
wait. You're jumping ahead of me. We're gonna get to her. Right? We're gonna get to the beautiful new the new improved Code Jam 2.0. But so what personal accomplishments or projects are you proudest of that your fans may not know about?
Wow. Wow. Um, let's see. Uh, well, I spent a lot of time in Brazil. Um, I was playing music there. So I played in Carnival in Brazil. And
Wow.
if you guys know, I know as Americans, a lot of Americans don't travel. But if you look online at Carnival in Brazil, Carnival
Mhm.
is they do things big in
Yeah.
Brazil. Live shows are big. So playing in Carnival, is major, major. You know what I mean? So, that kind of stuff was like just like so exciting to me playing with those large, large, large groups of fans and large groups of musicians and percussionists. So that I find to be, just like a thrill in my heart. And I always love of the people and what I've learned about performing out of the United States. You know what I mean? And how, you know, live shows all over the world are still, so prevalent and so important, you know what I mean? And even though the group thing seems to be dying, at least in America, you know what I mean? Keeping a group together and doing a live show and doing a great live show on stage is so important. And that's why I always feel it's important. Just going out of the country and doing a show with, you know, with crowds that love to see live bands play, it's you realize it's still important. It's very important, and I'll never lose that. And that's why we'll always be that.
That's right. I love it. I love it. So this is the most, I mean, talking to you, Mike, was just so great and amazing. But this is the most exciting part of the show. Miss Goldie gets to introduce the new lead singer of Cult Jam 2.0, Miss Stina. So, hey, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How are you? You're so beautiful. I mean, I'm not disappointed already.
Thank you.
So, you already told us how you found her. What qualities made you say, "Yup, that's the voice we need to carry Coach Jam's legacy forward"?
The shoes, you know, we were gonna get a lot, we were gonna hear it, and so the key was obviously she had to have a great voice, but
Yeah,
more importantly, she had to gel with us and in the vision I have of us performing on stage, that has to be key because that's what Cold Jam always was a performance band. You know what I mean? Since that first time people ever got a big look at us on the Dick Clark show, then back in '86, you know what I mean, we had to give a visual. So going to see her perform, I jumped in my car, and I told her I'm coming out to see you. And when I got there and I watched her perform, I said, she's it. She's us. She is us. I see it. I see it all. You know what I mean? She's us what we were when we were that young. You know what I mean? And so I knew it. I knew she was gonna be that. And I hoped that we live up to what she wanted. You know what I mean? As being, as someone that she might have seen on TV, and guys that are a little older now, I was like, she's what I want. I hope we're what she needs. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, that's so sweet. So, Miss Tina, how did you feel? Like, okay, Lisa Nicole Jam was a big thing, right? Their records are still big to today. So that's like you stepping into the Supreme saying, I'm getting ready to be Diana Ross. So how did that feel for you?
Well, when I was first approached about it, because I'm also a working performer and a musician and stuff like that, similar to Alex, because we're in the same circuit together, pretty much, and we know a lot of the same mutuals and everything like that. So when I was first approached about it, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, it's a it's another project, right? Like it didn't really click with me.
Mhm.
Like it didn't really click with me. Like, wait a second, until we had, so started recording our promo videos and started to really perform out there. And then we were getting our first album together. And I was like, yo, wait a second. Like, yeah, oh my God. Yo, these guys had like literal number one hits on the Billboard. It just doesn't click until it does,
Right,
Because me, I'm just like, oh, it's a job. It's another great job opportunity. I'm gonna work, work, work.
right.
And then it's like you start to understand the legacy and the enormity behind it, really. And it's like, whoa, that's
So you
cool.
got into some big shoes, and
Yeah.
I mean, Lisa Nicole Jam, like we were talking about, is one of the biggest groups ever. And I was waiting for Mike to get on here and tell me some tea and some stories. And the story is amazing because there is no tea.
That
There
there
is
is
no
no right.
there is no drug addiction. There is. I'm expecting to hear how Alex was strung out for 12 years and became a diva, and they cut Mike out, but it wasn't their story.
and you know, sometimes, because of this online stuff, you want to make up something like that. It's like, 'cause is that the only way that you'll get attention? You know what I mean? They get so much. These people get so much crazy attention because, oh, so and so's living in a car, and now, now they're back. Like, I can't come that way because we,
Give
we,
me any of that.
we were smart. We were smarter than that, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but we were smarter than that. I mean, we grew up. We're from East Flatbush, Brooklyn. We're from Brooklyn, where people were working. You know what I mean? People were working and striving and dreaming. You know what I mean? And just because that one thing came to an end doesn't mean our dreams and our lives came to an end. And I'm sorry, we didn't fall apart and end up on death's door. It just didn't happen. We took care of ourselves, and here
That's the bad stories. Like,
and here we
yeah,
are in our 60s, looking great
how
and feeling
can you
great.
come with a good story? Like, I was waiting for tea. So, Miss Tina, where are you from?
I am from Long Island.
Strong Island.
Strong Island, yes.
How
Yes,
long have
ma'am.
you been a vocalist singing? And, what have you done? Who have you worked with besides the wonderful coaching?
Well. I've worked in different kinds of studios since I was 16 as basically referencing vocals for artists and demos and all that kind of stuff. Um, and yeah, I even started songwriting when I was 16. I was working with a local producer called Joey Two Tone, and as a matter of fact, Alex worked with him as well during the years and stuff. But he was a local guy in my neighborhood and young. So I'm like, oh, another young person. Yeah, let me just start working with him. But he was like really phenomenal, very talented. I was very lucky to kind of get my feet wet with him and just being in the studio, seeing the process, how he layers his vocals, like how he produces, and how he likes to arrange. I just learned a lot when I was a teenager, and so I started with that, and then I really didn't get into the live performance aspect until I hit my mid 20s. And yeah, like it started off with me just doing karaoke on MySpace, believe it or not.
Oh, my
I kid
face.
you not. I did karaoke on MySpace, and somebody local was like, "We need a female singer for our band. Can you come down, sing a few?" And that was that. That was like the start of my live performance journey. And so I've been, my gosh, how old am I now? um,
You could be 23 because I'm 25, so you know.
yeah. So I've been doing it for a really long time. Probably over uh 20 years.
You
And
don't
that's,
look you don't look over 20 years. So you can sing from birth, we'll say.
me too. I don't look
Thank you.
over 20 either. I barely
Yeah,
look over
yeah,
20.
no.
But
So
that it and that's what she is. She's a working artist, and so her nose to the grindstone work ethic is what works so well with us, there's no drama. I know, let's get together, let's bang this choreography out, let's get ready for this show, let's go into the studio, let's work these songs out for this new album, you know what I mean? And she's gonna layer her vocals 100 times, you know what I mean? Like,
The
again,
most
again, again. But she's that. You know what I mean? She works that hard. And because she wants it done the right way, she wants it to sound a great way, and so like we found that all our aspects in the studio and live, she's one of us.
so
the
Miss Tina,
the the o- the
does
only
Mike
drama I
still
will
have
add.
does Mike still have it with the choreography? Can he still dance?
Oh yeah, he can still dance. Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that man was born to dance. Like there's no doubt about it. The only drama I would say that we do have is when I'm texting Mike and I'm like, "Did you really have to put that picture up on Instagram?" that's as far as it goes.
And that's a small problem to have in a group. What has the chemistry been like in rehearsals? Like, is the magic back there? Like, is it
Yeah,
really?
I mean, Alex is our old guy. Alex is like Jackie Jackson.
Alex, you were Jackie. You Jackie.
Like Jackie, Jackie Jackson. So Alex will every once in a while turn around and say, "I'm not 20 years old anymore, Mike." I know, Alex. I know. But we work it out. We make it work for us. It's fun because he's still a jokester. You know what I mean? He's always
Yeah,
been a jokester. That was some people don't change. You know what I mean? And the good things don't change. And this young guy that I met at 20 years old, he was 20, I was 18 when we met. So this is a long friendship. You know what I mean? There's a long friendship between me and him. And now adding Mistina to the mix. Good chemistry people who honestly are good people and like each other. You know what I mean? And even when there are differences, don't let those differences become drama or or separate you. You know, whether we have differences of opinion. You know, now looking online and seeing all this crazy stuff online. You know that may may bring up differences of opinion, but when we're working, that's what we do. We work,
Right.
we have fun doing it. Our goal is to do it and have fun and to make money. You know what I mean? Especially Alex, the money man. But
Oh
but
yeah.
we have to make money. We're not kids anymore. I mean, we have families. We know things we have to look after. So when we were young, we just did it for the fun. We knew we were
Right.
going to get paid, but we really, I mean, really, I could have been on those shows for free. If you told me that I was going to be on Bandstand for free, I would have paid you money to be on American Bandstand. You know what I mean? But now we know we need to make money. So let's work out that money. But still, we
Right.
love what we're doing. It's not like, okay, I really don't want to do this with you, today. I don't want to do this. Do we have to do that show? And it's never been like that
I love
through the
that.
career that I've known, and now even at us now, it's still like this is gonna be fun. Let's go do this. You know what I mean? So these festivals that we just got off some festivals, we did shows with different people, different groups, and it's still that there's a competition still, that love of competition. We need to be great. Oh yeah, there's oh yeah, they got this song and they got this song and people like them and it, but we need when we sit the stage. Cold Jam gonna hit the stage and be great. You know what I mean? And so that competition and the love for doing what we do makes us always want to keep going.
So, what can fans expect from the new Cult Jam sound? Classic revival, modern twist, or a whole new evolution?
Miss.
What fans can expect, I mean, we're kind of digging our feet deep into like dance, and especially flirting with house. We've been flirting with the roots of house for a bit. We've recorded some new stuff that kind of gives it that flair. I can't wait to get that all finalized and just like releasing everything like that. Especially there's a song called yeah Rio. It's called Rio. I don't know if you remember that one, Mike.
Yeah,
It's
of
been a
course.
while.
No,
It's been a
we
while,
have yeah.
but we've just been into like just making songs that really m- move people and make people want to dance. And then, of course, giving our ode and props and homage to house music, like that's quintessential.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you know, our music selection from all of our lives runs deep. You know what I mean? So, like you listen to Cold Jam Love, which is our album, Cold Jam Love. You find that deep Stevie-ish R&B and that homage to the 80s R&B and that old school stuff and then there's the house music that I mean I'm glad I was a part of the beginning of
Yeah.
house music. You know what I mean? I was there as that genre was being created, and so dancing and shaking our butt is always a part of us. And our current single, Burn, is hot like that. Burn, our single Burn is hot like that. Dancing and shaking your bum, and that's what we love to do. And that's it makes you smile. Dancing is good for the soul. It makes you smile. It's love. You know what I mean? And that's what we like putting out.
Where do you get your biggest support from right now? Like, where's your fan base? Where's your support system? And where do you get it from? Where does it come from?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I was just reading a post. One artist put, oh yeah, I forgot who it was. One hip hop artist, and I think I said that most. Someone else said that too. Said my boys never like any of my music. you know, and someone else said that too. They said my family never liked any of my music, and these are big stars. Like you realize that as you release the stuff, it's not the people that right around you because they probably hear the stuff all the time and like, oh no, but it's from it's from outward, and we get love from like, of course, we get love from the Latino crowd, and we get love from
Hmm.
from people that know us, that remember us from back in the days. You know what I mean? So it's really a nice variety of people that find us and love our sound. It's really great. When you see it, like wow, okay, you're still digging us, and they're still digging us. And even hip hop artists. You know what I mean? Because like sometimes you think, I always thought that we were the furthest thing from hip hop. You know what I mean? Even back in the days, I thought we were the furthest thing from hip hop. And to see hip hop artists still love us and love what we do, you know what I mean? I always find that to be interesting, and I get tickled about that too. So and of course the
Well,
dance crowd, that the
you
house
know,
music
Mike,
crowd.
Mike, I do find it interesting that you don't think that you're part of the hip hop culture. Because let me tell you, like, growing up, seeing you guys from the outside looking in, like, there were a lot of, especially break dancers who like
Yeah.
loved dancing to your stuff. And of course, break dancing is it's huge, huge part of hip hop. So that's interesting how, like, when you're in it, you don't really get to understand how people
Yeah,
view you on the outside. But that's what art is, it's art isn't what you think you sound like. Art is what the people think you sound like.
Is and what they see, because the song that I of my own songs, the song I like the least, I did it because the producer asked me. He's my friend, he produced everything, and I trust him when he says, can you get on this? So I did it, and I won everything with that song, and I can't stand, not that I can't stand it, it's just not the song I think that's it.
right, right.
And the song, it's like going to do a church song when I gotta go do this song, right? But I won everything, a music award, money. Everything I ever won was with that song. So it is in the consumer, and we think it's a good song, and it's not a good, not that it's not a good song, it's not the song people like. So it is, and I believe that the cultural mesh that you guys had stood in on hip hop, the Latin,
Hmm.
the house music, all that. And we can't talk about dance and house music unless we're going to talk about also Dwight Fuller and Rocker's Revenge. And I
Nah.
want Dwight for introducing me to you. And it's funny
Yeah.
because I knew Dwight since I was younger when he had the record store in Yonkers. And not that many, we didn't have that many African American um, owners, business owners.
Right.
And he came with the music that attracts everyone, and he was like community based, and he was like that big brother, that uncle, things of this nature. I never knew this was in the 80s. I found out Dwight was in Rocker's Revenge in, I'll say, 2017, and I'm doing a whole PR thing for them in Atlanta, and I'm like, wait, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
this is you? Like,
Yeah.
never said anything. All the people, great people he introduced me to, and I'm like, wait, you know these people? And because he's always just been, the white, the big brother.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate him. They also had a number one dance record, and back then you guys wanted to make people dance. So it's very refreshing to see people that still want to make people dance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, dancing is it's key to the soul. It really is. And sometimes I'm sad when I look at these young people now that go to a club and just kind of put their arm up and look at their phone and watch the
Because
DJ.
they
Like,
waiting to shoot
you
somebody.
know,
They can't dance because they waiting to shoot somebody. As soon as you step on their feet, rub your sweat on them, bump into them, it's like they come there to stand around and look for opportunities to be destructive. That's why we need that different type of music, because if you're busy dancing, you don't care if nobody's stepping on your feet when you having a good time. But if
that's
you
right.
listen to all that demonic music that's telling you to pull out your guns, that they program them with the frequency that as soon as the alcohol and the drugs kick in,
Mm,
everyone's in danger. And I really,
mm,
a lot of people can't go enjoy music anymore because of this. I'm
Yeah.
afraid to go to a concert if it's they better be old if I'm going to concert because I know it's other old people there, and none of us don't smoke. We want to enjoy the music. I want to go party and have a good time, but where am I going? And at what risk? And what are these kids listening to? That when they see me, how do they feel about women? How do they feel about our culture? How do
Yeah,
they feel
yeah,
about each
yeah.
other with their skin tone? It's not a good feeling, and bringing back that love in the music, bringing back that enjoyment. And even if you was having a terrible life, you could get lost in that music.
Oh yes. Oh
And I'm
yeah.
glad you guys are doing that. If you had to describe Coke Jam, and this is, I want both of y'all to answer this. If you had to describe the 2025 version of Coke Jam in 3 words, what would they be?
Ooh. All the way live. All the way
That
live.
that's 4 words.
Yeah, I mean, wow. That's that's an old saying. Back in the days, I mean, Lakeside came out with a cut. Back in the days, all the way live, because all the way live always meant that it was. It's what the kids say is lit. It's all the way
Lit.
live. You were coming with it. You know what I mean? And that's what Culture M is. We come with it all the way live.
He said a lot of
I
words, Christina.
I would say pretty much the same thing he's saying, like energetic live performances.
I love that. I love that. What producers, DJs, or younger artists would you love to collaborate with to reintroduce the culture, the cult jam flavor to a new generation?
Well, I mean, I would, if we were working with a lot of people, there are a lot of people on that list. Dance wise, I like what little Louis Vega is doing. The way he is moving music and orchestration you know so it's making music sound big instead of minimal. You know what I mean? And I think that's important. Music shouldn't be so minimal. It shouldn't always sound like one dude is doing it in his bedroom on a keyboard. Music is bigger than that. It shouldn't always sound like that, so minimalist. You know what I mean? So any DJ that's working to make sounds bigger, you know what I mean, including other artists and just making everything sound grand, because
Right.
that's what a band is, not just one dude.
So that's the only artist you could think of. How about you, Miss Tina? Who would you like to see Cult Jam work with in the
Oh
in the
man, I mean, you can't even ask me that question. I have ADHD because I I would love to work with so many different kind of artists, but I would say like the direction that we've been moving recently, I definitely I'm thinking more of like these artists that have just a lot of pizzazz and charisma. I think of Doja Cat, like she's just like she takes like the theater aspect and she puts breakdancing with it. And then she's just this own character and everything like that, and I like to study those things because it's like, wow, what is she doing on stage that really captures that energy that she's going for, and it's magnetic, and people are drawn to it, like, what is that. So I like hyped up music, like that, and she definitely has this hyped up quality and stuff like that. And so yeah, so many artists. One of my favorites is Victoria Monet. She's just like she's just so hot, like, and such a brilliant songwriter. Everything she touches, I feel, just turns to gold, and she just has this uh, perfect quality of dance and R&B. Like, it's just perfection. So
that
yeah.
just gave me chills. I'm gonna have to go look into that because those are artists that people don't generally mention. So it's like a depth as an artist, as a creator, as a songstress, as a songwriter. We look for surface artists. We don't dig deep into real songwriters or, real lyricists that's really singing with purpose and energy and things of this nature. So I'm glad you said that. So if Coach Jam created a dance challenge today on TikTok, what would that look like? What would that be like? Is anybody willing to get up and show us?
You know what? If maybe if we like show the choreography of Can You Feel the Beat, because that could be like a really fun dance challenge. And Mike is very close up with his face right now, so I don't know if if he'd be able to.
Oh, these
But
days, it takes me a few minutes to get warmed up to dance. Not like back in the old days when I used to jump up on the table and let loose.
Okay, Mike, this is for you. If I wonder if I take you home dropped in 2025, which
Woo.
celebrity couple would the internet instantly attach it to?
Wow. Whew.
celebrity
That's
couple.
too deep for me. With celebrity couple on the internet, I wonder if I take you
You
home.
can answer that. If you have an answer, you can answer that. This is my game time. This is when I play games with you.
You know, I think if it were to be released today, it depends because immediately I thought of Zendaya. Um, with oh my gosh, forgive me, what was his name again?
Spider-Man guy?
The Spider-Man guy. I'm so sorry to him. I really respect you. I do. I just Zendaya was on my mind. Uh, but in the
I
beginning
can
of
see
their
that.
relationship, in the
Yeah,
beginning of
right?
their relationship,
Sure. Yes, yes, I see that.
You see that?
I see that. I can even imagine him in the video.
yes. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Totally. Those two in the
yeah,
video? Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
What's one story from tour life that you've never told publicly but want to tell Miss Goldie today?
Whoa, there's so many, but
Pick a good one. You got a lot of good ones.
oh, oh, there's so many. Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, just one time, you know, we were touring for so long that, we started to have fun with the crowd. So we'd squirt the crowd with water, especially when we got down south in the hot places, we were doing these outdoor shows in Houston and all that. It was like cooking hot, and we do these outdoor venues and we squirt the crowd with water and everything. And then one time we end up in New Orleans, but we were indoors, but we were already into that habit. And we really liked the crowd to feel us. And there was this dude in the front row in a suit trying not to give up the funk at all. At all. I mean, we had everybody jumping, and this dude was sitting in the front row trying not to give up the funk. And that annoyed the hell out of us. So we went backstage, we got a bucket of water, and we threw that water on that dude at the end of the stage, at the end of the show. Good night, everybody. Yo, turned out he was the promoter of the gig. He was the promoter of the gig. Man, he was burnt. He was burnt. Man, he was burnt. Our crew had to keep him out of the dressing room. He was burnt.
And I can imagine he had on this good outfit too.
He had on this suit. He was playing it cool, like, yeah, I'll put this together. I'm cool. I'm not giving it.
When
Oh
you thought you
boy.
were good for the night, and the night ended with you being it. That
Yeah.
is hilarious. What's the most New York thing you ever done as a group?
Wow, the most New York thing. Wow. Walk down the streets of California. 'Cause you know they don't walk in California in LA. We get to our hotel in LA and be like, oh, let's go get breakfast. Yeah, there's a Denny's about a mile down the road. Man, we go strolling out our hotel, the whole band. So eight donkeys walking down the streets, walking down the streets of LA, going to the Denny's, not in a car, walking down the street, crossing mid street. They don't do that in LA either. Car pulls up. Can I see your ID? I'm like, whoa, what's up? You
Wow.
don't you don't cross through the middle of the street here. Oh, we're from New York. We don't know. We didn't know that. He said, let me see your ID. He looked at our ID. He wrote us down on a pad. Said, if I see you do this again, you get a ticket.
Because
And last time we were in California, we did the same thing. We walk in right in the middle of the highway. like, like, oh
Christina,
my God, we're
what's
gonna
the
get a
best
ticket.
moment you had with the group so far?
We're gonna get a ticket.
We're New Yorkers. We walk.
Miss Tina, what's the best moment you had with the group so far?
Wow, the best moment that I had with the group so far. I mean, honestly, there's been a lot of great moments for me. The best moment, geez, Louise.
Meeting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calm down, Mike. Calm down, Mike. We're getting to you. We're getting to you.
I was gonna ask you what's the first one, so you could wait.
Really, yeah, it's really hard to pin down the best moment because, every time we get together, like we make the most of our moments and everything. So, I love traveling with them. They're like my older brothers. It's funny. I come home, my husband asked me, "Oh, so any guys hit on you and stuff?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "What? You sure?" I was like, "I'm sure because these two are buzzing around me all the time. Ain't nobody coming up to me to try
That's right. You gotta protect your sister. That is
it."
right.
That's it.
So, how do you guys right now as a band? How do you stay relevant? And what can Miss Goldie and WWE TV do to help that?
Well, I mean, we stay relevant by keep releasing great music, and so we want people to know that Cold Jam is out here playing. We're doing concerts, doing festivals. Come out and see us. Follow us on Cold Jam Love on Instagram and Cold Jam Music. Our website and Burn is a hot track that's out right now, and we're gonna keep coming with more stuff. So I want people to just to know that Cold Jam is alive and well and coming to a town near you, come to a concert
Hey.
near you.
With the lovely Miss Tina, I would love for you to keep us updated on your concert dates and things like that so we can share it with our WWE TV family and definitely be in support of that. So I have a couple of more questions. Um, AI is remixing old songs like crazy right now. How do
Hmm.
you feel about AI recreating classic artists' voices?
Miss.
No, he knows how I feel about this. Um, yeah, I have very strong opinions about AI. I feel like it should not even enter the Billboard charts.
Right.
um, I just have very, very strong opinions about AI because art is what we do. It's a way for us to produce human connection. So it's mind boggling to me how even producers, even well-known producers, all of a sudden they're on this AI train. And it's like, dude, like, don't you remember when you first had like your hit and you did it? You
Right.
and maybe a few other people like teamed up together and y'all just think tanked it. And
Right.
it was cool because you had your finger on the pulse and everything. Like, wasn't that a great like feeling? And all they gotta do is just like press a button. It's like, you go to Starbucks and they just press a button and yeah, the
Yeah,
coffee comes out looking like diarrhea. That's what AI to me is. It's diarrhea. Like you just press a button and it's AI slop. And yeah, I told you I got strong opinions about it.
that's
Yeah,
right.
it's
I have
good. Yeah.
that opinion about it because it does take away from us. It takes the value away from us as artists, as creators. Even with I shot a video and they basically took all my days of work and AI'd everything. So, and then it was like, poof, now it's done. No, poof, now it's done. Because I had to shoot that footage. I had to do the lighting. I had to make sure that everything was right to create what I wanted. I couldn't just text to type, yeah, make me a this and a that. And I mean, I love it as a tool.
As a tool,
Not
right?
as
That's
a
one
tool.
thing.
Not the way we're doing things, not discrediting the real talent of real singers. Use it as to make reference tracks for real singers.
Exactly.
Don't
Right.
use it as this is what I'm putting out because now that I heard somebody say that AI ain't gonna outperform me on stage though.
Sure. Yeah. 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 I
So
hope to
be
God that
honest,
they
I
don't
mean,
try to do that.
it's gonna go rock the crowd. It's not gonna
Yep.
Yeah.
do it.
It's not gonna. No. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not gonna
And yeah. That's that's our thing. And even funny. Not only AI, but even some of these younger artists. You know what I mean? Like like rock the crowd. You know what I mean? And so don't let this even AI be part of what takes you into this stale performance. You know what I mean? Rock the crowd. I don't care how you got your track. I mean, really, if you didn't get creative on your track, at least get creative in your performance. But
and
but but be creative on your track too. I mean, all of that. It's part of the emotion of performance, the emotion that you
Right.
put in during the track, emotion that you put out during the track. Now you put that emotion out in the crowd even more. You know what I mean? So if there was never anything done in this track, there was never any emotion poured out in this track because it was AI, then what kind of performance could you have? You know what I mean? So it goes in hand. Like Messina said, the connection. There has to be a connection of art is a connection. It has to
yeah,
be that. You can't lose that connection.
can't lose that connection. Okay,
Mhm.
legacy bands are coming back strong. New Edition, TLC,
Yeah.
SWV, Jodeci. Why do you think fans are craving nostalgia more than ever? Now more
For
than
a
ever.
reason. Well, one thing, we're not dead. The people our age, we're not dead, and we can never be satisfied by the product that's being put out these days. That can never satisfy us. You know what I mean? So that's part of it. And again, the people you just named were groups. They were groups, they were bands, and visually that's appealing to look at rather than just watching some old person walk around and maybe get on the floor and twerk a couple of times. And it's not enough. It's not enough. You know what I mean? And so people remember what it was like when people gave you a performance from their heart. They
Yeah,
gave you everything they had. That hour and a half, whatever was everything. They were sweating and working hard on stage. Back in the days, they'd be pulling their shirts off because they were working hard, not just because they wanted to show their pecs, even though I did want to show my pecs, and I have. But it's because we were working so hard. This shirt is holding me down. You know what I mean? I'm working that hard. You know what I mean? Bobby Brown with New Edition. People were working that hard. On Shalimar. Shalimar used to work hard on stage, man. I grew up watching. I was like, that's what I want to see. That was exciting. And so people still want to see that kind of stuff. They want to receive something, especially if they're going to pay what they're paying these days for a concert.
Yeah.
You better give me something.
give them a show. Give them
Right.
definitely a show. With so many artists fighting for ownership today, What do you think Cult Jam would have done differently when it comes to business, contracts, and royalties?
Woo. Oh wow. All right.
We already
You
get
know,
this deep.
yeah, we would have done things differently. Let's just say leave it at that. We were all young, so we were signing things that we probably really should have had looked over more and took more time with and probably went back and forth with, what I mean, which would made things drag out a little longer, you know what I mean? But, it's really about, you know, uh, making sure that you're going to be compensated in the future. And you realize that now, because then when you're young, you don't look at the future, you know what I
Mm.
mean? And now that we know that artists from even the 60s and 70s are getting money still continuously from that time, and some aren't, but some are. You realize that it's about your future, and that in that deal, it needed to be. You need to make sure that my image, the image of me, Go Jam, whatever. That image is mine. It belongs to
Right.
me. And in the future, any people buying you or still listening to you, you should get money. You know what I mean? Way decades later. You know what I mean? Because it's you. You know what I mean? And that's really important.
Right, right. What message do you have for the original fans who grew up with you and the new fans discovering Cult Jam today?
Um, wow. Still make you shake your butt. Still make you dance. Come out and see us dance, listen to us. You know, uh, um, we have a beautiful young thing out in front of us leading the way. and, and we're still making you dance just like we did back when we were young. So, hear us, see us, listen to us, watch us.
If Cult Jam had a slogan for 2025, what would it be?
This.
If we had a slogan for 2025, oh man, that's actually a really great question. Dang,
Yeah, right.
man,
Slogan.
if we had a slogan for 2025, oh, oh my gosh, um, shoot, I don't
That's
know,
tough one.
I don't know, I don't know.
It's tough when you
The
got the lyricist. When you got the lyricist short on words, that's a
right.
tough one.
That really is a tough one. Oh my gosh.
I get better at this every time, I promise you.
You know what? That's what we got to work on. That's what we're going to work on. We're going to
Yeah,
work on our
slogan.
slogan and we're going to campaign the heck out of that one
And
because,
It's
you
not
know,
where you are. It's not where you are. It's where you're at. It's not where you are. It's where you're at. Not where you were. It's where you're at.
she
it's where
said,
you at, right?
take on that. And finally, we talked about we talked about the group and our new lead singer. So what's next? New music tours, documentary update. Um, you said a new album. Like, tell us how we can stay on top of that and get the new song that you have out now, the album, where we can find you.
Called Jam Love. It's available on all platforms. Called Jam Love, and we're proud of that. That was our foray together with beautiful Mistina Soul, putting together some beautiful lyrics and vocal melodies, and we're very proud of that album called Jam Love. And right now, Burn is the current single, and we did some wonderful things on that. That nice throwback to dance electronica, um, and we're very putting together festivals and venues for the new year for 2026. It's all coming together. There are going to be plenty of opportunities for people to come out and watch us do our thing and dance with us and boogie with us in 2026. Yeah.
I'm excited and I can't wait for WWE TV to come out in person and watch you guys rock out and cover some of your events. Um, and I just want to thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful conversation, allowing me to introduce the beautiful Miss Mistina. So I'm looking so forward to what Cult Jam has coming up in the future.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Us too. We're looking forward to it.
Shout out to Dwight. Shout out to Dwight and Rockers Revenge. Oh
Yes,
man, you gotta shout him out. You know,
it-
we were DJing at the time when we met Dwight. I mean, we did everything. Full Force, the Cult Jam. We did everything. We were the Full Force crew at that
uh,
time. The Full Force crew. We were DJing, and we used to go to Dwight's store and buy records, and he hip us to all the latest stuff, and we used to DJ and spin. And so when we came out with I Wonder If I Take You Home, we had to go to Dwight's store, and he was like, "Yo, we selling out. This record's hot. It's hot." So it was. Oh, I mean, Dwight goes way back with us. Rockers Revenge way back with us.
Yes, Dwight was very instrumental in helping a lot of people in our culture, artists, get their records in these stores because, as you know, the mainstream and the other record stores wouldn't sell certain records. And people like Dwight, and I also interviewed Mr. Kelvin Anderson from VIP Records out in LA. So they were very instrumental in moving our music and we
Yeah.
appreciate them for that. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank
And
Much
you.
love.
Miss Goldie to you, Worldwide Entertainment TV. We are here with Cult Jam 2.0, and I mean, this is exclusive. Until next time, everybody, see you. Stay tuned, stay positive.